As a conclusion to our series, Old News from Ridgefield, our terrific intern, Alexa Rome, is going to read a piece from the Ridgefield Press from 1876.
Further search initiated for the Bennett boys. From the Ridgefield Press, August 2nd, 1876. It was reported that George and Arthur Bennett were seen on Wednesday, and as cows were milked, chickens stolen, and potatoes dug by unknown persons in the vicinity of the swamp in which the fugitives were supposed to be secreted, it was thought advisable to make a rigid examination of it and the adjoining woods also. For the accomplishment of this, Constable Gilbert and his aides started a recruiting expedition. Every man that could be found was notified and requested to put in an appearance at the West Lane Schoolhouse, also known as the Peter Parley Schoolhouse, on Thursday morning at 8 o'clock to receive orders and information of the plan of operation. On Thursday morning at the above-mentioned time, there was a large concourse of people at the corner near the schoolhouse. Adjoining towns were well represented. A large delegation was in attendance from South Salem. Each man carried at least one fire-piece, and such a variety. Some were armed with weapons that did service, and from their appearance plenty of it, during the Revolutionary War. Others carried those of more modern times and improvements. At 9 o'clock, the crowd numbered between 300 and 400. About this time, those that were selected to surround the swamp received their orders and started. Those detailed for entering and searching the almost impenetrable swamp were soon en route, and among them were our chosen braves. At a given signal, men were seen to advance from all directions and completely surrounded the swamp. The sentinels were about 5 rods, or about 80 feet, apart. In a few minutes, the scouts, under the leadership of Constable Gilbert, entered the north and at a distance of 4 feet apart. Before they had advanced 1 rod, Constable Gilbert sunk in the mud so deep that the top button of his vest only was visible. Others suffered the same inconvenience, but little did they care. They were determined to succeed, and any imitation or fear or dread was loudly censured. They made slow progress through the underbrush and mud. The line extended from side to side. They had gone but a short distance when a trail was discovered which led to a place where the fugitives had done their cooking. By and by a valise was found and passed from one to the other until it reached the margin. It contained nothing, but was recognized as being one of the 3 taken from Wilton Station. 4 hours had been occupied in searching the swamp, and still no fugitives were found. It was evident that they had evacuated that swamp. The woods were then searched, but with the same result. Many of the scouts were getting tired and hungry, and the search was for the time relinquished. About 100 remained for the purpose of visiting the caves formerly occupied by the much-wished-for boys. 3 caves were found which showed signs of habitation. They were all small, the largest one being about 8 feet long, 4 feet wide, and 5 feet high. After this examination, further search was abandoned. A few weeks ago, when Sheriffs Heath and Hunt were looking for these same boys, one Walker Bailey hitched up his horse and carried them over to New York State. This caused suspicion, and the constables decided to search the Bailey's premises before returning. They did so without finding any evidence that Bailey was an accomplice. The following night, Ebenezer Boughton was stopped by 2 men, and upon whipping his horse, managed to escape. 2 shots were fired at him, but did no damage. The same night, Mr. Enoch Boughton of South Salem, New York, had a horse stolen. George and Arthur are supposed to have been the perpetrators of both crimes. A reward has been offered by the selectmen for their arrest and conviction, and this, together with the $50 offered by the citizens of South Salem and the $50 offered by the Anti-Thieving Association, ought to bring them to justice. On Thursday, Jerry Bennett and his wife, Adeline, and their 2 sons, Mortimer and Francis, were taken from the Danbury jail and brought here for trial, charged with burglariously entering the store of Bailey and Gage, also the railroad station house at Wilton. They were held under 2,100 bonds, thus raising their entire bonds to $6,900. We hope to be able to record the capture of George and Arthur in our next issue. That the nest is broken up now, there is no doubt, but the capture of George and Arthur is greatly desired, not only on the account of the offenses they have committed, but also on the account of the probability of a manifestation of their revengeful spirit amongst us. We learned from Mr. Sanford Nash that George and Arthur were discovered in his barn on Monday morning and made their escape while he was after his gun. Each of them carried a revolver in his hand. County Sheriff Newman came to town on Monday and is now searching for them. If they escape all hands, it will be a miracle. S.S. Douchy and S.J. Barlow drove over to Peekskill, thinking that the boys would work over that way, as they have 2 brothers there, but were disappointed and returned in a few days. The people are thoroughly awake in this matter and are determined to fight it out on this line if it takes all summer. It took until September, but finally 6 members of the Bennett clan had been apprehended, were tried and sentenced in Bridgeport Court. 3 were acquitted, including the mother, Adeline, but the father, Jerry, was sentenced to 5 years in state prison, and the sons, George and Arthur, were ordered to serve 15 years. This is the news of Ridgefield. Thanks for joining us.